Prince William has zero plans to see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle when they return to the United Kingdom next month, according to journalist Nickel. Harry really wants to bring the kids to see his family, not just the Windsors, but his mother's side, the Spencers, too. A brutal shift in the financial rules governing the British royal family has permanently changed the landscape of this bitter, ongoing transatlantic feud between the two brothers. According to highly trusted secret sources operating directly within the private hallways of Buckingham Palace, King Charles III has made a brutal, non-negotiable decision to completely cut off and end any planned use of his private funds, specifically his Duchy of Lancaster revenues, to underwrite or help pay for the security costs of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle during their upcoming July trip back to the United Kingdom. This sharp financial break is happening right alongside a tense phone standoff. In a brutal move that has sent shockwaves straight through the Sussexes' private headquarters in Montecito, California King, Charles III personally cut off a direct phone call from America, refusing point-blank to engage in any kind of negotiation. Conditional leverage or any kind of commercial haggling started by Meghan Markle about their official working status in London. The King's refusal to take part in what top palace officials call an extortionate public relations trade shows a deep and unprecedented hardening of the Crown's stance. Following weeks of increasingly desperate, quiet behind-the-scenes lobbying from the Sussex camp for public royal backing and official security promises, and those highly coveted family photos, the palace press office put out a single incredibly brief and cold statement that completely strips their upcoming trip of any real royal meaning. The King will provide standard administrative help to arrange the basic logistics required for Prince Harry to travel safely to and from the United Kingdom. Behind this highly polished, polite royal language lies an absolutely unyielding reality. No old royal perks are coming back, no official honours will be given, and absolutely no public-facing respect will be allowed for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This new administrative wall represents a direct, very aggressive shutdown of those constant toxic public attacks, those calculated media campaigns and the heavy public pressure targeting King Charles III over the past several months. For many weeks, the British public and large parts of the international media have been aggressively criticising the King, whipped up by a series of planned leaks, hinting that the monarch was right on the edge of giving in to Harry and Meghan's constant demands because of the emotional hold of his young grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. This domestic backlash had finally reached a major breaking point, causing massive anger across the country and putting a heavy, deeply unfair psychological burden on the King while he was trying to focus on his grueling, ongoing cancer treatments. Royal doctors and top palace officials have now confirmed that this relentless media storm and the fake stories about the King giving in were taking a direct toll on his physical health, forcing his team to make sudden changes to his daily routine and seriously messing up the steady flow of important government paperwork into his private office. To protect the dignity of the royal family, safeguard the King's health, and put a fast end to this wild, stressful public gossip, Buckingham Palace has now launched a sharp, highly coordinated counter-offensive to set the record straight and expose the complete total lies currently spreading throughout the mainstream press. This palace strategy is not about petty emotional revenge, but rather a very deliberate, legally backed and highly systematic dismantling of the entire Sussex narrative. High-ranking courtiers have been cleared to formally push back and tear apart the three main myths that have been fueling all this public anger. First, the palace flatly denies that King Charles III ever intended or even agreed to use his own private wealth to fund a private security detail for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Doing that would not just mean giving in completely to all the aggressive legal moves orchestrated by Prince Harry, but it would also cross and violate the basic constitutional boundaries of the British state. The palace officially draws a sharp, very clear line here, pointing directly to the binding legal rules established by the High Court of the United Kingdom. Under the strict laws of the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and VIPs, or RAVEC, which operates directly under the very strict jurisdiction of the British Home Office, state-funded armed police protection is absolutely not some commodity that can be privately bought by rich individuals, and it is definitely not a favour that the King can hand out because of family love. The High Court has ruled once and for all that, because Prince Harry chose to walk away from his duties as a working royal, he permanently lost his automatic right to tax-funded security, under the strict, completely non-negotiable legal rules in place. Prince Harry must send a highly detailed official travel plan to Ravec at least 30 days, which is 1 full month before he plans to land on British soil. Once they get this 30-day notice, security analysts run a case-by-case risk assessment. Counter-terrorism experts and metropolitan police teams study every single detail of the specific venues, dates and public appearances planned for the trip. If and only if this independent review reveals a real, high-level danger threat, special security measures are put in place, and the entire cost is paid for by the British taxpayers as a matter of national security and never as a personal royal favour. King Charles has never faced any real pressure, nor has he fallen into some sentimental grandparent trap with Archie and Lilibet just to bypass these incredibly strict and rigid legal rules. This false narrative that the king was tricked into paying for a private security force for his son is a total legal and factual lie. Second, the palace has totally shut down all those persistent media rumours about a massive reunion banquet or even a quiet, intimate family dinner being planned inside the royal estate. There is absolutely no free space on the royal calendar, and certainly no desire inside the palace walls to host a festive family gathering that could easily be used by the Sussexes' massive media team to pretend everything is back to normal. Third, the palace has corrected the highly twisted reports about where the couple might actually stay within the secure royal perimeter, giving Prince Harry the option to stay in a highly private temporary apartment inside either Buckingham Palace or St James's Palace is absolutely not a special new privilege or some warm peace offering from King Charles III. In truth, this setup is just a cold clinical extension of those strict rules drawn up back at the Sandringham Summit in 2020. Locking Harry away inside a guarded royal fortress is a highly calculated move, a brutal but practical policy driven by the king's top aides and backed completely by the tough, uncompromising attitude of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal herself. Keeping Harry locked away inside the heavily monitored walls of a secure royal fortress means the Crown can watch his every single move, keeping track of who he sees and where he goes. This stops the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from booking 5-star luxury hotels in the middle of London, places where they could easily tip off global paparazzi, leak stories to friendly reporters and spark chaotic media storms that embarrass the royal family and disrupt everyday life in the capital city. More than that, this tough United Palace stand completely obliterates the massive media myth of a bitter, deep ideological feud between King Charles III and the Prince of Wales. All those stories about William acting out in a silent, angry rage while his father softly welcomes Harry back are completely made up. The reality is that the king and the heir to the throne are working in calculated, perfect agreement, sharing one single, unshakable long-term plan to completely and permanently protect the British constitutional monarchy against the aggressive non-stop forces of celebrity commercialisation that drive the Sussex brand. Sure, they are playing very different roles here, with Charles acting as the neutral, forgiving father who offers bare minimum polite gestures, while Prince William keeps up a freezing, rock-hard refusal to speak to his brother, but their ultimate goal is exactly the same. When Prince William ignores Harry's desperate phone calls and refuses to meet him face to face, it is not some messy domestic drama. It is a solid shield designed to stop the private pain of the working royal family from being packaged up, twisted and sold off to the highest bidder in Hollywood. The fortress wall of the House of Windsor is still standing, strong, held together by a cold devotion to duty that completely overrides personal feelings. By tearing down the Sussex side of the story, palace officials have shown just how far the machinery of the British state will go to protect the crown. First, they had to crush the damaging public rumour that King Charles III was being pressured by emotional guilt into paying for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's private security team. This toxic myth, which had generated intense resentment among British taxpayers, was completely shut down by pointing directly to the hard constitutional laws governing royal security. Palace officials pointed straight to the strict legal rulings from the High Court in London, proving once and for all that the king does not have the power or even the desire to bend the rules and hand out armed state guards to family members who do not work for the crown anymore. In the real world, royal protection is controlled entirely by a special committee for royalty and VIP security, a group known simply as RAVEC. This highly independent group works directly under the British Home Office and is packed with top counter-terrorism experts, London police planners and career civil servants. According to the laws upheld by the High Court, armed guards are a strictly limited public resource. You cannot buy them like a luxury service, and the king cannot hand them out as a private family favour. The moment Harry chose to walk away from his official duties as a working royal, he legally gave up his automatic right to 24-hour police protection. Only RAVEC decides who gets guards under the law using cold, objective threat checks that are completely separate from family titles or royal status. According to the current rules laid down by the Home Office, Harry has to hand over a highly detailed day-by-day travel plan to RAVEC at least 30 days before he sets foot on British soil, and this 1-month notice is absolutely mandatory. Once they get his plan, British intelligence teams and counter-terrorism experts run an exhaustive security sweep on the dates, exact locations, travel routes and public events on his list. If this separate security check highlights a real measurable danger, only then will RAVEC bring in a specialised security team. The massive bill for those guards is paid directly by the British taxpayer as a matter of national security, not from the king's private wallet. King Charles has never signed any private deals to fund some kind of personal bodyguard squad for his son. And he has not given in to emotional pressure about his young grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Any claims that the king broke state laws just to keep the peace with the Sussexes are completely false and legally impossible. This cold, clinical wall is largely the work of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, and her legendary no-nonsense devotion to the crown. Working with absolute professionalism and a deep respect for royal rules, Princess Anne has always been the strong, unshakable anchor of the family estate. As a key force behind the scenes, she keeps a razor-sharp eye on all the money and physical properties of the British monarchy, guaranteeing that every major choice matches the strict standards set down during the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II. In fact, Princess Anne was the mastermind behind the strategic decision to evict the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from Frogmore Cottage, a swift move that stripped them of their Windsor base and set a tough standard. Heading into the upcoming July visit, Princess Anne and her top advisors have stood absolutely firm, making sure that any room offered to Prince Harry inside the secure gates of a royal palace, whether at Buckingham Palace or St James's Palace, is viewed purely as a security lockdown rather than any kind of warm family reunion. This plan flows straight from the strict rules written at the Sandringham Summit in 2020, keeping Harry inside a highly secure state-managed environment. So the palace security team maintains total, absolute control over his movements, visitors and daily travel plans. By shutting this door, they stop the Sussexes from setting up a massive media headquarters in some flashy central London hotel, a perfect spot for tipping off foreign paparazzi, feeding selective leaks to the press and staging scenes to boost their brand. Princess Anne's clever manoeuvring lets King Charles III protect his dignity as a sovereign and keep his image as a loving father while locking the palace gates against any outside exploitation. This strict strategy shows King Charles III and the Prince of Wales are completely united, totally crushing those constant tabloid rumours about a massive fight over how to handle the upcoming Sussex trip. Reports saying William is brooding in angry isolation while his dad welcomes Harry back with open arms are just flat out wrong. In truth, the king and his heir are completely on the same page. Both men share a fierce determination to guard the crown from the tacky commercial schemes and cheap celebrity stunts that define the whole Sussex brand. They might be playing different parts, with the king offering polite distance while William serves up a freezing silent treatment, but make no mistake, their final goal is exactly the same. William is flatly refusing to pick up Harry's phone calls or meet him face to face, setting up an iron shield so the family's private moments can never be stolen, twisted and sold off to massive global media companies ever again. This total collapse in communication between the royal family in London and the Sussexes in California has reached a breaking point, completely crushing all tabloid hopes for some warm, tearful family reunion. Despite all the glossy public relations spin coming straight out of California, senior palace insiders confirm that this upcoming July trip will feature absolutely no emotional breakthroughs, no private family meetings, and absolutely zero chance for Harry and Meghan to rescue their fading Hollywood brand by clinging directly to the coattails of the king. The rigid rules set up for this short visit are meant to keep every single encounter strictly business, tightly controlled and stripped of even the slightest bit of family warmth. To really see just how cold and stubborn the palace has actually become, you only have to look at the incredibly harsh rules set up for any brief meeting between King Charles III and his estranged younger son. Insiders close to the royal family have revealed that any quick audience granted to Prince Harry is going to be strictly governed by what palace staff are now calling the 12-minute protocol. This tight limit is based directly on what happened back in February 2024, when Prince Harry flew straight to London right after his father's shocking cancer diagnosis was made public. During that highly publicised encounter at Clarence House, the actual private chat between father and son was cut down to a tiny formal window right before the king had to leave for his flight to Sandringham. For this upcoming July trip, that exact same restrictive formula is going to be rolled out by the palace with cold clinical precision. Palace advisors have carefully crafted a packed schedule that leaves absolutely zero room for long personal talks, emotional debates, or airing out past grudges. If a meeting even happens, it will be a brief formal nod rather than any kind of warm family reunion. The whole thing will happen under watchful palace eyes, making sure every single word is noted down so nothing private can be twisted or leaked to the press later on. This cold, clinical approach completely stops the Sussexes from using their quick face-to-face meeting to hint that they are back in favour, or to spin a narrative that the king has softened his stance on their flashy commercial deals. Most importantly, this strict protocol makes it very clear that the king's tiny diplomatic gesture is meant entirely for his young grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. King Charles III sees his duty through the eyes of a grandfather simply wanting basic contact with his descendants. But that kindness absolutely does not extend to the adults running the ongoing Sussex media circus. By making the young children the sole focus of this brief family meeting, the palace completely isolates both Harry and Meghan Markle, entirely stripping away their self-proclaimed status as key royal players. The Duke and Duchess will not be treated like visiting royal VIPs, but rather as simple chaperones for the king's grandkids, leaving them completely unable to drum up massive headlines or show off their personal influence during their short London stay. This strict, deliberate isolation is backed up by an absolute ban on any photos or video recording during their entire royal visit. Top communications chiefs at Buckingham Palace have put an ironclad policy in place completely banning all cameras, recording gear, or outside reporters from stepping inside the secure royal grounds during any of these sensitive meetings. This Tough restriction is a direct reaction to past times when the Sussexes used intimate family moments to secure massive multi-million-dollar streaming deals, book contracts, and glossy American magazine covers. By refusing to give the couple even one official or candid picture with the king, the palace completely starves them of the valuable PR pictures they need to prop up their commercial brand. There won't be any sweet photos of a smiling grandfather with his American grandkids splashed across the global gossip pages, and absolutely no strategic snapshots to validate the Sussex brand in high-flying Hollywood offices. This total lack of any family warmth is also mirrored in the absolute icy silence coming from the Prince and Princess of Wales. While the media keeps making up stories about intense behind-the-scenes drama between the king and his heir over how to handle the Sussex situation, the real-world operational reality shows total and absolute strategic unity. Prince William has kept up a completely frozen, unyielding wall against any kind of communication with his estranged brother. He has consistently refused to pick up any direct phone calls coming from California, and he has made it completely clear to his closest staff that he won't grant any meeting, personal or professional, to Prince Harry during this highly anticipated upcoming July visit. This strict wall built by the Prince of Wales isn't about petty grudges or simple anger, but rather comes from a deep protective duty to keep the long-term stability of the British monarchy completely safe. To Prince William, the endless leak of family secrets from that 2021 Oprah interview to the tell-all memoir Spare is not just a personal betrayal, but an unforgivable strike against the crown. He knows too well that any olive branch or quiet phone call to Harry and Meghan will instantly get packaged, twisted and sold to the highest bidder in America for a quick buck. So he has built an icy, unbreakable stone wall, shielding his wife Kate and their 3 kids from being exploited by the media. Meanwhile, the king handles the official business of running the state, dealing only with the dry paperwork of royalty, while William plays the tough guy guarding the family borders with a heavy hand, setting up a tag team defense that leaves Harry and Meghan completely locked out of the palace gates. This tight alliance between King Charles and his heir forms an iron shield blocking every attempt by the Sussexes to spin their royal ties into cash from their mansion in California. Sure, the gossip blogs and news channels love to pretend there is a massive feud between the king and his son. They claim that Harry and Meghan's upcoming visit this July has sparked absolute panic behind closed doors. They paint a picture of a soft-hearted King Charles ready to cave just to see his grandkids, while a bitter William seethes in the corner all by himself. But the truth inside the palace walls is very different, a perfectly coordinated 2-part strategy designed to shut down the Sussex brand once and for all. Both men are in total agreement about one thing protecting the future of the British crown at all costs. Charles and William see right through their game, knowing the Duke and Duchess have spent years treating their royal names like a tradable corporate asset, using their connection to the throne to score multi-million-dollar Hollywood contracts, book deals, and luxury lifestyle sponsorships across America. To stop this, the palace has set up a tag team defense with the king and his heir playing very different but perfectly matched parts to freeze them out. Charles keeps things polite, showing the quiet dignity expected of a ruling monarch, giving them just enough basic administrative support to avoid looking cruel. Meanwhile, William plays the ruthless enforcer, keeping an absolute icy freeze on every single type of personal family or business contact. William's total refusal to speak is a highly calculated move, and it has the king's quiet backing. Palace insiders say William has told his entire team to ignore every single call, text, email or mutual friend sent by Harry over the last few months. This brutal silent treatment is the direct result of the deep, calculated leaks and betrayal of family secrets that Harry and Meghan splashed across the media, especially those explosive television interviews and the raw, highly private details exposed in that memoir Spare. To William, these weren't just low blows against him and Kate, They were calculated hostile strikes aimed right at the heart of the British monarchy. By keeping this total wall of silence, William makes sure no private chat, weak moment or casual family get-together can be secretly recorded and packaged as fresh content for American television. This tight agreement between father and son completely kills the rumour that the king is backing down by helping Harry with his travel plans. When Charles officially agreed to help Harry with his basic security and travel arrangements, both men knew this support would come with absolutely no red carpet, no royal honours, and zero family warmth. That is just how the modern royal court operates now. The king handles the basic, closely watched logistics, while William ensures they are completely frozen out of every single royal circle. This double-sided strategy keeps the crown totally united in its main goal, stopping Harry and Meghan from ever using the royal family to make money again. What is more, this united front has completely changed their upcoming trip this July, stripping away all the global hype and media attention that the couple desperately wants. Their PR team had spent months trying to spin this trip as a big happy family reunion to boost their fading popularity and save their struggling Hollywood careers. Instead, the united front from both royal households has cut their visit down to a quiet, strictly controlled and boring administrative trip. With no public appearances, no shared photos, and absolutely no official stages, Charles and William have completely killed off any chance for the couple to profit from this trip. This absolute lockout sends a crystal clear warning to big TV networks and corporate sponsors worldwide. Harry and Meghan are now totally outside the royal inner circle, with zero influence, zero access, and zero power left. Hollywood is learning the hard way that their fancy titles are completely empty, carrying absolutely no connection to the real power and prestige of the royal family. This brutal freeze-out is not some petty emotional spat. It is a highly calculated professional defence of the crown. By standing completely side by side, King Charles and Prince William have built an unbreakable wall, making sure the historic monarchy is kept safe from the cheap drama and toxic greed of modern celebrity culture. This brutal coordinated move from the palace hits Harry and Meghan at the absolute worst time, right when their business empire in America is beginning to crumble. For more than 6 years, the couple's massive PR machine has tried to build an alternative, a hyper-luxurious, massive lifestyle empire in Montecito, California, designed to go head-to-head with the historic prestige of the British monarchy. The whole strategy relied on one huge gamble, that they could endlessly milk their royal titles to lock down massive checks from big streaming networks, Hollywood platforms, and high-end global brands. But then, the latest reports straight out of the American market reveal their high-stakes gamble has completely stalled. Now the Sussex brand is looking increasingly desperate to grab any public link to the royal family, just to maintain their global relevance. Top financial analysts and media experts in Hollywood have confirmed the couple is facing intense economic strain, especially with their global popularity metrics, known in show business as the Q-score, absolutely cratering right now. Their biggest problem comes down to a total lack of consumer trust and brand discipline, which has plagued their entire chaotic launch into the American lifestyle market. Just look at the highly criticised chaotic rollout of American Riviera Orchard, their brand new digital lifestyle platform that was supposed to crown Meghan Markle as a major dominant player in the global luxury market. Instead, the entire project has been met with brutal skepticism from top retail experts. Reports reveal the platform is struggling with some pretty serious inventory issues, including millions of dollars in completely unsold high-end consumer goods and a total failure to turn early social media hype into sustainable high-volume retail operations, staring down the clear commercial failure of their very first products. Like those overpriced artisanal strawberry jams and rare orchard honeys, the Sussex marketing plan has devolved into a series of frantic, messy, and totally inconsistent pivots. In just a matter of weeks, the brand abruptly abandoned its organic food line, shifting focus to a partnership with a luxury beverage company to promote specialized matcha tea blends. Hollywood executives are calling this highly volatile approach completely unstable warning that they are treating what should be a long-term corporate identity like a random series of short-term promotional campaigns. Whenever a specific item fails to blow up online and go viral, they simply abandon the project and scramble to launch an entirely different initiative, leaving them with a highly chaotic brand image that completely lacks patient structure or operational discipline. And this scattershot behavior has seriously damaged their reputation among A-list Hollywood stars and major corporate power players. While the Sussexes struggle to get any prominent global figures to make long-term commitments, the working members of the royal family continue to effortlessly draw in the world's most influential corporate leaders and major cultural icons. The stark contrast was on full display during Prince William's big environmental summit in London, where major global corporate heads, including top-tier executives from Google and other massive international tech conglomerates, all gathered alongside huge cultural figures to drive the Earthshot Prize forward. The contrast of Prince William assembling global corporate leaders for real major institutional initiatives, while Meghan Markle is mailing single jars of jam to minor internet influencers, has completely exposed the sheer artificiality of the Sussex brand. Knowing their independent commercial value is slipping away fast, the Sussexes tried to use their upcoming July trip to the United Kingdom to pull off a massive high-profile public relations reset. The plan was to use the trip to orchestrate highly calculated public-facing interactions with senior royals and then use that spotlight to validate their commercial lifestyle ventures back home in the United States. They figured that if they could project even a hint of renewed royal access, they could easily convince American corporate sponsors that the Sussex name still carries the ultimate prestige of the British crown. And that is exactly why the palace's completely unyielding enforcement of the strict half-in half-out rules deals such a devastating fatal blow to their entire corporate playbook. By stripping the visit down to a highly restricted clinical administrative event, the palace has systematically starved the couple of the essential photos and royal associations they desperately need to prop up their American business ventures. There will be 0 official royal backdrops, absolutely no public appearances alongside working royals, and no sweet family moments they can package up and convert into content. The palace has basically forced the Sussexes to face the cold, hard truth of the original ultimatum laid down by Queen Elizabeth II at the Sandringham summit. They are entirely outside of the royal fold, and they are getting absolutely 0 royal backing to help fund their private financial dreams. This complete brutal shutout leaves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex totally isolated, forcing them to face the harsh reality that without the genuine backing of the British crown, their alternative lifestyle charade is completely dead in the water. Buckingham Palace's massive coordinated defensive strategy draws a permanent, unyielding line in the sand, completely isolating the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from any of the core functions of the British state. For months and months, their public relations team in Montecito has worked under the assumption that the crown would eventually crack under relentless media pressure, especially given the current personal vulnerabilities inside the royal household. They gambled that the king's health battles and the messy state of modern Britain would open a back door to negotiate that half-in half-out royal status they always wanted, letting them cash massive private paychecks while still borrowing the crown's ultimate prestige whenever it suited their needs. But that calculation turned out to be a massive, catastrophic misunderstanding of how the House of Windsor actually operates behind closed doors. The cold truth is that the British royal family has transitioned into a highly disciplined clinical mode, prioritising the structural survival of the institution over any personal family relationships. And the upcoming July trip of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is going to be the ultimate proof of this cold shoulder in action. By stripping their visit of any official status public platforms or symbolic honour, the palace has set a brutal, unyielding precedent for how things will go from here on out. The Duke and Duchess are absolutely not being welcomed back as long-lost family members here for a sweet emotional reconciliation, but as completely private individuals, people whose presence now requires strict administrative management, zero public exposure, and total containment within the secure boundaries of the royal estate. This definitive lockdown is reinforced even further by the shifting cold dynamics within the broader British establishment. The Sussexes try to paint their endless court battles over taxpayer-funded security as a desperate fight for survival and personal safety. Yet the highest courts in the United Kingdom have drawn an unyielding boundary. The High Court completely threw out Prince Harry's judicial review applications, sending a loud, clear message to international observers and corporate sponsors alike. You cannot keep your royal privileges if you walk away from the heavy constitutional duties that justify them. The state machinery, working right alongside top palace advisors, has quietly turned the Sussex demands into a rigid, icy sequence of bureaucratic procedures. Now they face fixed notices, independent threat evaluations, and intense financial accountability that leaves absolutely zero room for personal deals or royal favours. What is more, this hardline stance has completely shattered the commercial setup of the Sussex brand over in America. Hollywood bosses, corporate sponsors, and massive media conglomerates are finally realising the truth. The couple's exile from the real power and deep prestige of the British crown is absolute and permanent. The big fantasy that they could run a rival Hollywood-style royal court has completely collapsed. It fell under the weight of their constant business struggles and the refusal of working royals to give them even a shred of visual or symbolic support. Strip away the vital oxygen of big family photo ops and joint public appearances, and direct endorsements from either the King or the Prince of Wales, and the Sussex brand must fight on the open market as a basic celebrity entity. It is a harsh arena where their lack of focus and chaotic strategies have already sparked massive industry skepticism. Right at the core of this united wall lies the lasting legacy of those strict rules laid down by Queen Elizabeth II during the Sandringham Summit of 2020. That classic rule that you cannot be half in and half out of the monarchy is being enforced with total cold precision by King Charles, the Prince of Wales, and Princess Anne. This solid united front keeps the ancient crown safe and insulated from the chaotic forces of modern-day commercial deals and cheap media exploitation. The palace has managed to twist what the Sussexes wanted as a massive, triumphant public relations relaunch into a highly controlled, deeply restricted and entirely private administrative affair. As the global media turns its cameras toward London for this upcoming July visit, the harsh reality of the modern court will be plain for everyone to see. There will be no grand family banquets, no public shows of unity, and zero chances for the California rebels to squeeze commercial value out of the British state. The king will perform his bare minimum polite duties under strict internal watch, while the Prince of Wales maintains an icy wall of complete social exclusion, and Princess Anne directs the clinical management of the royal assets. By putting strict institutional duty far ahead of personal family feelings, the House of Windsor has built an impenetrable barrier. They prove that the dignity, authority and constitutional integrity of the British monarchy remain totally safe from any outside exploitation.